What's going on, everybody? This is another edition of Vehicles and Videos where we talk cars. We are wrapping up the drift off. We still haven't bought a drift car. We've taken a couple of months off.
It was a busy,
Life
cold
got in the
winter.
way.
Yeah.
That silly thing called life and winter. Schedules did not combined, did not match. But Brenton, what car are we talking about tonight?
Today is the and I don't remember where it is on the list, but it's getting towards the end, like you said. Ford Mustang, any year, any generation, and it's definitely a car that everybody's thought about owning. So
Yeah,
anybody, any
and
car enthusiast, because they do make some pretty diverse models. Anything from a four-cylinder turbo with the newer ones to they had four-cylinder turbos on the old ones back in the 80s.
did they? I didn't realize they did four-cylinder turbos back in the 80s.
So well, so they also had a Mercury Cougar, which is the same
Oh yeah.
platform, the same Fox body platform, and that 100%, you could get as the four-cylinder turbo. The
Mm,
Mustang, I believe in like 1984-ish, you could get as a four-cylinder turbo. I'll do a quick confirmation, but yeah. Um,
gotcha.
Six-cylinder, eight-cylinder, manual transmission. They made tons and tons of them. Convertible, coupe, you name it. There's just a lot of them out there, and they pretty. They always had like a 10+ year run of any body style,
Right.
so they made a lot of them.
Well, Gen 2 was very short-lived. Gen 2
Yeah.
was 74 to 78 and is
Uh,
by far the
okay.
ugliest.
They were like,
Like
that
I
guy's
don't think
fired.
anybody even bothers to, so there's actually 2 Gen 2s. There's the original Gen 2, and then there's more recent Gen 2.
Oh, okay. Hold
Um,
on. It's okay. The
yeah,
second gen, no, second gen went from 74 to 79. But yeah,
right.
okay.
But these things are fugly. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what happened for them to,
That,
like, I think they were trying to, like, things get square, and then things get
yeah.
round, and things get
Yeah.
square,
No,
and things get round.
that is a car yeah, that didn't turn out
Yeah.
well.
What's the expression? "That's a baby only the mother would love."
Yeah. Yeah. No one loved that one because that didn't last very long. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it was 4 years. It wasn't there's nothing really spectacular about it. It was a little bit heavier than the original, and it had a shorter wheelbase. I think it was
Okay.
probably I think if memory serves correct, I think they were trying to go for more of, like, the econo box
Yeah.
rather than that, muscle car,
Muscle
American
car.
Muscle,
Yeah.
right? But
Would-
and then in, like, 79, 80, when they switched over to the Gen 3, the Fox body, that's when they were just like, "Screw it.
Yeah.
We're a muscle car."
Right. Right.
So, yeah, but what's interesting too is when they came out with, I guess it's the Gen 5 or Gen 6, yeah, Gen 5 or Gen 6, somewhere in there, that's when they started to relabel them. They just like, "You know what? This is the Mustang," and, I think it's the S197.
So, well, you have
From then
the
on, then they relabel Gen
yeah.
1, Gen 2, Gen 3, whatever else,
Okay. Yeah.
because that's kinda like they've stuck with that similar look.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the Mustangs, I feel like we're going to be talking about are the ones that like people are going to um, have access to. You get to like the first gen, like you said, the 60s generation, they were nice looking. Um, could you go find a beater one and throw a big engine in it and make it a drift car? Yeah, but I don't think that's what we're talking about today.
Right.
Um, I think realistically, fourth gen on up would be a practical choice for us. Um, like you said,
Yeah.
the second and third gens weren't really great looking cars, and they're just not practical. But
I
the
disagree.
fit,
I really like the '80s Mustang.
the really, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. I mean, I
I
guess
mean,
they the third gen, so that's 1979 all the way through to 94. Um, you're right. I guess late in the later 80s, they did make it look a little nicer. Yeah. Um,
yeah. And I think maybe that's just, like, I started to drive nostalgia of me enjoying that car, right?
Okay.
Our neighbor happened to have a 5-liter Mustang, right?
Yeah,
Ice
but
Ice
his was a
Baby.
'97. His was a '97, so that was technically the next generation.
Oh, yeah,
So,
so
yeah,
yeah,
that's the f
but it
yeah.
had the same looks though, right? I guess it was a
It got a
97, yeah.
lot nicer, his the body kits that came on him from factory were nice. Uh, they were definitely a lot nicer.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is the Gen 3,
Gen
something like that.
3 had the factory body kit look look good on them. It made them look quite nice.
Yeah, so, yeah, was his is 97?
So,
It couldn't have been.
well,
I mean,
there was a couple people that had
maybe it was.
Mustangs, but 95, 96, 95, 96,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah. But no, I really like, yeah, definitely like the into the '90s, that version is what I like. The headlights looked better, the overall styling looked better. They did a better job with the window trims, like the rear window trims and all that stuff.
Right. Yep.
I liked it as a GT. I liked it as a notchback. It was just a slick looking car,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're either gonna find one that's, like, in an affordable price range that's totally clapped out, or one that's really expensive and been set up for drag and
Right.
whatever
Or
else, right?
someone's project that's half finished that you gotta
Yeah,
finish for them
yeah,
or
exactly,
whatever.
like, you're not finding, maybe there's a rare chance that you find, like, a four-cylinder, like, Sunday driver, right? Very
Yeah.
rare chance, I say. Um,
Yeah, or you find one
and
with a blown trans or blown engine, and then you do it
Yeah,
yourself.
but I think the problem with that then is, like, it's no longer a cheap weekend car. It's a project. It's something that you're
Mhm.
dumping a lot of time and money in, and, again, like, I think we're looking for, like, almost turnkey, right? Like, maybe, we need to do a couple of things. We're not afraid to do basically suspension work,
Mhm.
but we're really
Right.
not looking for that, uh, like, rebuild the whole car or get
Right.
rid of a bunch of rust kinda project, right?
Right. Right. And then the region I'm in, rust is gonna be a major issue, if I'm finding
Yeah,
stuff local.
right.
But, quite honestly, the price shopping that I just did, to refresh my memory on, like, what bang for buck, and it's always in my opinion, it's always, like, the just outside the budget gets you a much nicer car,
Yeah.
like, it's always like, "Well, just a little bit more," and it's like, "Well, that's a hell of a better car," like, you can get, like, a 6-year-old Mustang with 50 something thousand miles on it for like 30 grand, or you're buying a
Right.
20-year-old Mustang with 100,000 miles on it for like 15 grand. And you're
Yeah.
like, so if the math stays the same, you could put 50,000 miles on it and 20 years down the road and you're getting half what you paid for it. That works out to be less than $1,000 a year in depreciation. So,
Yeah.
like just based on the current numbers. So, it's like, well, if you can have a car and you keep it for 20 years and you drive it in the summer, you might have put 50,000 miles on it in to 20 years, the math might work for a lot of people.
Yeah, and to your point, I think we're looking for, and what I have it up on the screen, like the Gen 5. From my notes, I have that it started as early as '05 to 14, but I think
Yep.
we'd be looking at one of those.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to come by.
Which I
I
do
think
I feel like the looks of the '05s were cool when they came out.
yeah.
I personally don't think it held up with current modern day. I think there's certain models and certain trims and certain colors that look good, but there's some of them that I've seen out there, like the V6 ones and like red, they just look like hideous to me. Like I don't know, but
Here you
then you
go.
get like a GT one, like yeah, like I don't really know
Oh, that
what that
happens to
looks
be a
like.
GT.
But that one right there, for some reason, it doesn't flow. Now that silver one, look, it flows better in that color. Um, yeah, and the angle, um, but,
Yeah, the
yeah,
angle
I
helps, right? You
angles
know what's funny is, like, this angle with the front fenders and the
yeah,
way that it comes back, doesn't it remind you just a little bit of that RX-8?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
a little
look
bit.
around about the door and the
Well,
back window.
I was actually thinking that angle and looking at some of those body lines, it reminded me of the super hideous Gen 2 version.
The Gen 2 version, what are you talking about?
The 1978 one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's see. Oh,
right?
yeah, there we go,
See
look at that.
that back window
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah,
That's
and
it.
the
It
headlights
almost
are
has
round, the grill is like that, yeah.
it's almost like they went over to Trans Am or Pontiac and they stole or not Pontiac, yeah,
Yeah,
Pontiac,
Pontiac, yeah,
and they stole their wing and they put it on the back of that Mustang, right?
yep, yeah.
I think the same wing is on a Firebird.
So,
Um,
I think the best looking is gonna be skip the, 5th gen. I would go 4th gen or 6th gen as far as looks for me, if you're just basing it on looks.
yeah. So Gen 4, like, that's this Mustang here.
Yeah,
And so the funny thing is I am not as interested in this one. This one is like to me, this is the get a six-cylinder with a rag top and just like
uh
cruise around on a nice summer day.
I feel like these are the ones that you can pick up under 100K, manual transmission, 10 grand, and you can beat the snot out of it, and by the time you're done, you sell it for 10 grand, you know?
Yeah,
That's
and
what
from what I remember, this is almost the same damn thing as the Generation 5. Like, the wheelbase is a little bit shorter, it's actually a lot lighter, but I think it's the same motor.
yeah, so wait, so I gotta refresh my memory on all the years too, but, no, this one yeah, so the Gen 5, correct. It'll be very, very, very similar. They're solid rear axle. They're the 4.6 V8.
Mhm.
They made Cobra versions, they made other specialty versions, made Celine versions with superchargers and stuff like that. But the base
Yeah,
model GT is going to be a pretty solid car from like 94 all the way to '05 or '04, 10
yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, wow. You get an '04, that's still a 20-year-old car.
Yeah. But you can find them that were like garage kept weekend cars with under
Yeah,
100,000 miles on them, you know? So
that's
it's
true.
not someone's commuter car, it's not their everyday, um, and it will be relatively rust free, if you buy the right one.
I I found one that was prepped and raced. It was actually this roughly this color.
Okay.
And I started talking to the guy. This is another one of those Facebook stories, right? Started talking to the guy. And, I mean, he gutted the heater core, and all that stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
I understand what I'm getting the car for, but I think I want heat. I think I want to be able to defrost the window, you
Yeah,
know?
you don't want all that stuff completely removed because then it
Yeah.
sounds like yeah.
And and I'm talking to him more and more, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I don't have a title." I'm like, "All right. Well,
Yeah.
with how it's built, it's a race car. I don't really need a title, but I do want to make sure it's not stolen.
Yeah.
So, okay, dude, can you at least give me the VIN number so I can make sure that it's not stolen and then, like it's on the up and up and whatever else? And
Uh-huh.
like, yeah. I think it was stolen because he never got back to
Gotcha.
me.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'll show up. And the one neat thing he did, so he pulled all the radio and all that stuff and he got Bluetooth boat speakers that he just mounted to the cage because that's what you do on like on a boat, right?
Oh, yeah.
You'd have a hoop and you just
The
put
bimini. Yeah, yeah.
the Bluetooth speakers on it. So he did that. So he pulled the radio, pulled all the speakers out of the doors and all that stuff because that's how gutted it was. And then he just put boat speakers in there that are Bluetooth. I was like, well, that's actually kind of smart. So
Interesting that you would want speakers, but no heat or climate control in
yeah,
any sort of way. Yeah.
right. And then so then it was just like, you know what, this thing's gonna be like too much of a headache. Like I think it could be fun. I like the idea of the Mustang. I mean, I think I've always entertained the idea of a Mustang.
Every generation Ford Mustang V8 sound phenomenal.
Yeah,
You don't want to go too loud per se, but even if you go straight up cuts, straight pipe, they still sound good. Yeah.
yeah. I really like the idea of like the Gen 1, just a six-cylinder, just like drum brakes, just like total cruiser. I wouldn't go convertible because I think convertibles with those just adds way too much price, but, like, I do feel like you can find a six-cylinder Gen 1 for, like I have seen them for 5 grand, they need a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
of
no,
work,
yeah.
and that's kinda one of my, like the one of the cars I'm interested in getting just for like that like, hey, let's go to the pool. Windows are down. We'll leave the windows
Yeah,
down in the parking lot. There's nothing to steal,
right, right.
and just leave it. But yeah, and then like the Gen 2, I know I think everybody forgets about the Gen 2. I don't think a single like
I definitely did until I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." I mean, you
yeah,
don't really see any of them on the road ever.
right. Yeah, I mean, those things are gonna be so hard to find, and then
Right.
The Gen 3, I mean, I've always really enjoyed those, like, and again, might just be, like, got my driver's license nostalgia, but I really enjoyed that car. I really want one of those as a drag car, even though there's no drag
Right.
strips near us, but I'd like one of those to drag with. I think that would be a fun, like, drag car,
Yeah,
and then the Gen 4, I wasn't a
which this
huge I
this
think I'd rather go Gen 6 or Gen 5 than Gen 4, personally.
well, I think
I
so
think it
The Gen 4 is very, very similar to the Gen 3. It's just nicer looking. Double check that. The 4th gen. Oh, no, 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 you're right. Yeah,
they
yeah, you're
have yeah, so, alright. In my notes, I have the Gen 3 at, like, almost 3,000 pounds, and when I say
yeah,
almost 3,000 pounds, I mean 2,996 pounds,
right.
with a wheelbase of 100 inches.
Yeah,
And the Gen 4 was a wheelbase of 101.3 and 2,800 pounds, so I don't know how they lost, like, almost 200 pounds, but they apparently did. Maybe it was in the I don't know. Maybe it was how, like, the window trunk thing would have worked. I don't know. That's not necessarily 200 pounds, but, what I do like about something that's, like, 2004-ish is potentially less airbags and less complicated with electronics and stuff like that. Like, it should be,
yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty certain when we're drifting, we're gonna wanna turn off the airbags, you know?
Yeah, I don't plan on crashing. I mean,
Right,
probably
right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not gonna be, like, side impact airbags, there's not gonna be seat
Yeah,
airbags or anything, so the only thing you gotta worry about is the steering wheel, but yeah. Yeah, you're
yeah,
not gonna have a head-on collision. You're gonna, like, hit a tire or something, dude, an airbag's not typically gonna go off. Yeah.
yeah.
Disabling it's probably not a horrible idea. Yeah.
But again, like, the newer the car, the more the airbags,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the more the weight.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we end up turning them off anyway. Almost everybody changes out the steering wheel anyway. I was almost
Right.
thinking too, is like I feel like steering wheels and like the wiper stalks and everything, right? I'll bring my hands in. Like normally when you have your hands on the wheel, you can kind of hit the wiper stalks or whatever with your fingers, right?
Mhm.
So when you're shuffling, I feel like they'd get in the way. I was almost
Mhm.
thinking remove them
Oh,
and put them on switches somewhere else for when you wanted them.
okay.
So
Yeah.
they just weren't in the way. I don't know, just in
Yeah.
general, but,
Right.
that's
I
just
know
like
you're ta I've definitely, done SCCA racing where you
and
end up
the
hitting your
wipers are going
wipers.
and it's
Yeah.
completely dry out.
Yeah. 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 And then you're trying to turn it off, and then you, like,
Meanwhile, you're
hit
like,
the
"Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no."
yeah, yeah. Yep. Yep.
Or suddenly you're like, you pull in and your turn signal's on.
Yeah.
That's the least of the real worries, really. It's just the wipers
Yeah.
that
No,
keep going back
you
and
just
forth
let
that
it
are
be.
annoying as hell.
They say it's not worth trying to fix it until you're in a spot where you're good to go, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so, suspension-wise, though, and powertrain-wise, it doesn't really matter what generation you end up going with. There's so much support to
Oh,
do
yeah.
turbos, superchargers, headers, whatever, the sky's the limit on all that stuff because there's so many tuning possibilities, so many exhaust options, there's so many transmission upgrades you can do, different things you can do, um, to these cars. Suspension, once again, many, many, many options, doesn't matter what generation you go with. So, overall, it's a very solid choice for an affordable project car.
Yeah.
They A lot of people tinker with them, a lot of people do stuff to them. Compared to some of the ones we've done in the past, you're limited on maybe 2 brands of suspension. You might be limited on,
Yeah.
a couple different options on things, but with the Mustang, man, you got choices. You got a lot of choices, which is nice, you know?
Yeah. Although, I
And
mean,
so
it does
what
seem
number is this on
or
our
like with
list? Is this number 3?
I think this is, counting down from 10, this is about 6. So this is somewhere around about, uh 4 or 5. Wait,
Okay.
no, yeah, this is around about 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So, which I think it shows why it's in its place because it is such a diverse car with so many options. Um,
Yeah,
it's definitely if you bought the right one, you could, I always say like, well, would I want to drive it on a weekend? Would I want to go, take it to a cars and coffee? Would I be proud to own it? Like
yeah.
sometimes buying a car just because it is like, would you want to be seen in it? Would you want to, and yeah, so if you bought the right one, and someone saw me driving it, I would be okay with that.
Right,
Yeah.
so I was thinking about that, and, like, the BRZ we found really attractive, right? But it's also
Yeah.
really tiny. And I was thinking about, like, daily driving, is that something that's gonna be easy to get in and out of, or is it gonna be, like, so tiny and so low that it's just gets old really quick? Whereas the Mustang, I feel like the cockpit is just that little bit larger,
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
and the doors are bigger, I feel like the whole platform's bigger. Let me see if I can just
Definitely a
bring up
more
the wheel.
solid feeling car too. I've driven both and, especially
Yeah.
the
Now
newer generations they got some pretty nice amenities inside.
Now the wheelbase is about the same. The wheelbase for the BRZ is like 101 inches, and for the Gen 5 Mustang, it's 107. So it's really not that much different. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been in both, and I do feel like the BRZ is really tiny on the inside,
Yeah.
and the Gen 5 Mustang is nice and luxurious on the inside.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Yeah.
um Yeah, the interesting you mentioned about lots of part availability. I think, when it comes to headers and stuff like that, that's where it's much more important. It does seem like BC Racing Coils is the go-to answer for any platform for coilovers. It's like, if
Okay.
you're gonna drift, BC Racing coilovers is the answer. Very similar to, like, a lot of German cars, Bilsteins are the answer, right? Sometimes it's Coney. We all know it's Bilstein. Um, but, yeah, it seems like everybody wants those RC ra sorry, BC racing. I was thinking of RC racing cars.
Yeah.
BC racing coils, seem to be the answer for a lot. And the kinda cool thing is as you get into more and more more and more drift events, it looks like BC Coils will actually, I don't wanna use the word they offer discounts, club discounts for
Okay.
people that are doing a lot of drifting. So,
Okay.
if we
That's
did get
good
a
to know.
car, that's something that, we go to 1 or 2 events in more of a stock form, and then we might be able to get some sort of discount. It's not
Right.
huge, you're talking like $100 off of a $1,500 product or something like that, whatever,
Hmm.
but that's kinda cool. They wanna encourage and sponsor the drift community.
Yeah.
So I think
That
that's
is nice.
that's a really cool tangent product.
Hmm.
But, um, yeah, so here's some interesting things. When I was looking at the Gen 5, was it? No, the Gen 4. I was looking at the Gen 4 Mustang. Um, some of the things that people were doing, which is kinda cool, is on this, like, we've talked about angle kits and stuff like that, but for this, one thing that you can do is, like, there's a little snap ring that's on the steering rack that you remove that, and you can get extra angle out of the wheels just by that. So it's like a free upgrade.
Okay. So yeah, so just a little bit of labor and you can
Yeah, you
increase
gotta
the
remove the boot a little bit, you just zip tie it back on, or
yeah. Yeah. All
yeah,
right. That's good to know.
so
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool little modification there. Um Yeah, I mean, for me, again, I don't know how much I'd wanna get into headers or exhaust or whatever else. If the car came with it, great, right? Like, I don't think I'm really gonna go chasing horsepower so much. I really wanna
Eh,
focus on drive time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I want something that gets loose. I'd probably weld the diff in whatever we end up buying, right? But outside of that, I'm not, and I say this now, but then I might be like, "Oh, I found headers for $5, so why not?" Um, but, you know me and cars. I can't
Yeah.
I can't leave them alone, right? Um, but right now, I'd say that I just wanna kinda get in and drive, and I don't really wanna worry about all the, "Well, I can get 5 more horsepower here and 13 torque there," and You know,
Well, I think that's also brings a good point about the Mustang is the reality is you can just go buy one, and if it's manual transmission, you can pretty much take it right to any drift event. And
yeah,
someone skilled will do a phenomenal. Someone a novice will, it has the center e-brake, it has, with the manual transmission, it has enough power. You put some good tires up front and some bald tires in the back, and you're going to, have fun in it without really having to do a whole lot.
yeah. So here is the interior. Although this is the interior that I'd like to have, right, of a Mustang.
Yeah, that's too much. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
But yeah, that's like NASA in your car.
Mhm.
Here is a oh, there's a manual one. There's a manual one. So not not a bad looking interior. No, that's got to be
That's
too new. That's
no,
not
that's
right.
that's too new. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's like AI.
Yeah, get out of here. So it's not too bad. I was hoping I would see somewhere where we could find the handbrake. You talked about the handbrake, but not finding. What is
Yeah,
that?
well, I mean, I know
2004.
for a fact, like yeah, like here, click on that one, whatever.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
handbrake's right
So
there.
yeah,
Yeah,
handbrake's right there, which is nice. Oh nope, that's the wrong one. You got a handbrake there, manual transmission. Like the dashes are just simple, right?
yeah,
Which is perfect.
yeah, yeah. Sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah.
Throw an exhaust on it just so you can hear some loud noises, and you're good to go.
Absolutely. All right, let's just bring this back up. Oh, and there's a nice blue one. Nice blue looking one. Yeah, so let's just do a quick review, recap. I talked a little bit about my feelings about the various different generations.
Yeah.
Just quick recap. What one generation rough body year would you be looking at if you're looking at a Mustang?
So once again, it's always hard for me to remember generations when you get old. But so with using my cheat sheet here, I would definitely go. I would go fourth gen with you. I would go towards the later years, the late 90s or the mid early 90s up for that.
Mhm.
The or third gen, sorry, third gen. I would go towards the later generation of that. The fourth gen, any year I'd be good with. um, boom, boom, which the fourth gen is the SN95 body. It's like the current one up right now. Um,
Yeah.
fifth gen, I don't particularly care for, but if I found the right one, I guess I would go with it. Um, seventh gen's too new, so I would sixth gen I'd be okay with. Um, if I found the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my kids' friends' mom, former roommate, um, she wants to get a GT Mustang, and we're like, "Yeah, go for it, go for it, go for it." But she's like her lease is almost up. She's gonna lease another car, so she's looking at that car. I
Mhm.
think the Gen 7 is a pretty badass car.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The downside, like you said, is like it's hella expensive, and like, do you really want to smash it up drifting? Um, I think it's tough for me because I feel like the S197, that's almost 1,000 pounds more. I think if you're just going by stats, not by driving the car,
Okay.
just going by stats, I think it's the Generation 4. Like, get like a 2003, 2004 Mustang.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like 2,800 pounds. You can, if you did want to remove weight, like you can get it down lighter. It's still
Yeah.
roughly 300 horsepower, so it's got good power.
And you can find
I think
plenty of
that's
them. Manual transmission, hardtop.
yeah,
You can find them out there with like 100K on it, 120K on it for a decent price.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we go older, I think you're finding rust, especially around here.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is if you go older, you're finding rust. And honestly, I wanna make sure I stay away from rust.
Yeah.
I don't wanna.
mechanical things are relatively easy to take care of, but once you
Mhm.
start dealing with body rust or just crazy
Yeah.
undercarriage rust, things just go to hell. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially where with us between winters and Sandy, and I know Sandy was years ago, but I mean, we're talking about like cars that would have potentially been underwater during Sandy, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, um, that's what we're dealing with on the East Coast,
Mhm.
right? People are selling
Yeah.
like, well, this has never been right since, and I'll sell it for a good price. And then you buy it, and all you have is electrical issues and salt water
Yeah.
and rust and whatever else.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that 2003, 2004, I would just be super picky, but I think that's my answer.
Okay.
I think,
But that was the one in the beginning that you were like, you don't particularly care for that body style, but you're going
yeah, I
stats.
know, but I think I'm going like, like as we talked about, a turnkey kind of car. That's what I'm going for, right?
Yeah,
I think,
and that's kinda where between researching everything, price point, availability, I feel like that it's the best one, um, most practical for what we're looking to do.
yeah. And like you said too, is I mean, it is popular enough that you could potentially find a previous drift project, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it has some of the parts that the go fast parts that you're looking for already done, and that's
Yep.
included in the price. And uh, but yeah, I mean, now, all right, we've talked about a bunch of other cars outside, the previous 5 cars. How does
Mhm.
this stack? You kinda touched on it earlier. How does this stack? Is this in the right spot? Is there something previous that we talked about that you were like, "Mm,"
No, because I think, unfortunately, some of the stuff that was on the list before, they were just so hard to find the right model and the price point for me. I'm
yeah,
not into them enough to want to pay what they are demanding. And if I was into a car and
right.
I would do it, but I feel like the Mustang is deservedly where it is because um it has its place in any aspect of um the sports car arena, drag
Yeah.
racing, parking lot racing, drifting, um, you know, anything really.
Yeah,
You can
I
even do
mean,
hill climbs with it.
no, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to think, I mean, we most recently talked about the BRZ, and would I rather have a BRZ over this is the question that I'm basically asking, right?
Well, yeah, so it's a question of can you drive a four-cylinder car or a V8? It's like, well,
Yeah.
everybody wants the V8, right?
And, again, I think I gotta go back to I've been in a BRZ. They're fun, they're quick,
Yeah,
they're not spectacular,
yeah.
and I think that the Mustang does beat it out, in my opinion. I think the Mustang does beat it
I
out, and I think the Mustang has more, availability, like, more, like you said, parts availability, stuff like that, more potential. It's easier, if you did get into the realm of like, "Hey, I need more horsepower," it's a lot easier to add to the
yeah.
Mustang
Oh, yeah.
platform than it would be to the BRZ. And the BRZ, it seems like you're more or less doing a motor swap rather than with the Mustang. While you could do a motor swap, you're probably like there's a whole source of aftermarket parts that you could toss on it.
Definitely, definitely.
So, I do really like the idea of a supercharged car. I've just American Muscle has always been supercharged in my head, right? Like, they've just always lend themselves to
Long time
superchargers.
ago, that's what they did. Yeah,
Yeah, rather than turbos.
yeah.
And I know turbos are a little bit more efficient and you actually make more power, right? Or you can run less boost and make more power because the supercharger is parasitic and it takes power to make power. But I just kind of like that whine and
Yeah, and
right.
there's probably kits that are, a couple grand these days. I don't know for
And
sure, 3 grand.
and
3
for
grand,
an
you might add a
American
100
car,
horsepower, yeah.
too, is like it might just be like, oh well, I got this sitting right here. You can have it.
Yeah.
And then I mean, there's also the ones that like they double stack and they just stick them out of the hood and it just like goes bigger and bigger and bigger. We're not doing that. But, but I do like the idea of a V8. I do like the idea of American Muscle. I
But
think. I think,
there's
you know,
something
like
about revving out a V8 and watching the tires smoke that's pretty badass.
yeah, I think the Corvette we'd have to talk about a little bit, but just in comparison, but I think I think you're spending a lot more. You're probably getting a little bit more too, but you're spending a lot more on the Vet than you are on the Mustang,
I agree.
you know?
I think I would rather for drifting purposes, I would much rather drift a Mustang than a Corvette.
And, you know, I think the seating position is just a little bit higher in the Mustang too, and I think it would just like I think overall that would make that a much better just
Visibility of
platform.
everything.
Yeah. You know, like I like
Yep,
to sit low and everything, but like you're saying is like in a Mustang, I have a sense of the car. In
yeah,
the Corvette, it's like the hood just seems to go forever,
yeah,
right? At least the one that I drove.
yeah. Nope. The
Um,
Corvettes are tough visibility-wise, and I don't know how old people that own them get in and out of them either, 'cause they're
they
they
don't
are
drive them.
they are quite a bit lower than a Mustang too, so
Yeah.
alright, so I guess that wraps up the for the most part, where we're at and the weirdest styled one kinda is the
I
best value, most likely candidate.
yeah, I think bang for the buck. That's it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this was a weird one, right? Because when we went through our list, I think I called out a specific year Mustang, and I think you called out any year Mustang. So this is actually two different spots
Right.
on our list. So we only really have left the 350Z and, as you
Any
dubbed,
BMW.
any BMW.
Yeah.
Um, but what I dubbed the E36 or the E46. So we don't really actually we have a top 9.
Yeah, yeah.
But next week, we would be talking about the 350Z and the Infinity as well. Um, so that's what we'll be talking about next week. Hopefully, we can get back onto our normal cadence of being live on Wednesday and throwing the recording out on Thursday. Yeah, I think that's
Alright.
our new it's our current schedule for right now. The one thing I was thinking about, and I was kind of talking to you about this a little bit, is while we're searching, once we get to number 10, once we get to the BMW, and while we're searching, we could talk about some of the other cars that we've kind of come across in our searches, right? Like, would you want to get a I called it the what if series. Like, what if we bought a Subaru and made it all wheel drive? What if we bought a 240 Volvo? What if
Or
we bought a
yeah.
Miata? And then we could just entertain that in the meantime while we're trying to find this car. Now, hopefully, we'll also have like antics of, man, I went to this guy's house and wasted my whole Saturday, and he didn't even have the tires inflated.
No battery, car didn't
Yeah,
crank
for
over,
for
whatever,
real.
yeah.
Whatever those other stories are. But that was just a thought. I'm kicking it out there live, tossing it out there. I'm hoping too, and I want to toss this out to you as well. I don't remember exactly when the next drift event is, but I was thinking car or
Yeah.
no car, go to the event, check it out, talk to
Yeah,
people.
definitely.
People's opinions on cars might even turn around and be like, hey, look, I know it's a stupid car, but if you get this, you can be really happy for a really long time.
Right, right.
And my buddy's selling one.
Yeah. Yeah, let's there's an event, I'll look it up. There's ones up by me, I think they run them once or twice a week. It's probably
Oh,
started
cool.
or oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure they've started already. I know we had a goal of like I wanted to go to a drifting class, stuff like that. Actually, I was supposed to be leaving for Wookiees on the Woods in the woods tomorrow, but I'm not
Mm,
doing that.
okay,
The wife is out of town, so I'm staying back.
okay.
So won't be going to Wookiees this year. They'll have to be on
Well,
my bucket list
you can
for
do some car searching or whatever.
yeah, exactly. I'll have to do some shopping instead.
Yeah.
But all right, cool. Well, again, on this episode of Vehicles and Videos, we chose the 2000. Well, let me get the correct year range here. We got the Gen 4. Sorry, yeah, the Gen 4.
The 4th gen, yeah. So it's
The Gen
technically
4 94 to '04. The SN 95 was our choice for Mustangs. Keeping the looks out of it. Brenton likes the looks. Brandon doesn't. They all look the same when it's smoking out the rear, right?
there
So that was our choice. Tune in next week for the 350Z. and then followed up by every single BMW because I'm gonna talk about the 2002, which I love,
There
the '73.
you can
Yeah,
definitely find a rusted one of those cheap.
yep, I'll find a rest of one of those. Do you remember the one guy that had an M-powered 2002 at the Camden Autocross? Did you ever remember see
Vaguely,
that? Were
vaguely,
you with
yeah, it
me
was
when the guy
yeah, yeah,
popped the
I've
hood?
seen that.
That thing was
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
So he
yeah,
had solid motor mounts. That was, like, back when solid motor mounts weren't really super popular,
yeah,
and he had solid motor mounts,
yeah,
but
crazy. Yeah.
alright, cool.
It was
Again,
like orange, right? What color was it?
I can't even remember. Conversation for another podcast.
Alright, perfect.
Alright, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming out tonight. Talk to you guys next week. Thanks for coming out. This is Vehicles and
Alright,
Videos. I'm Brandon. That's
Brenton.